Welcome to the People of DearDoc, an DearDoc Podcast, the show that brings you closer to the heart of our company. I'm your host, Billy, and each week we'll take you on a journey behind the scenes to meet the incredible individuals who drive our company's success. From marketing to product development, HR to sales, we're here to showcase the real people, the real stories, and the real passion that makes our workplace extraordinary. Whether you're a new hire that's eager to learn about our culture, or a seasoned pro looking to connect with colleagues that you've never met, this podcast is your invitation to join us in celebrating the unique talent that makes us who we are. So grab your favorite headphones, settle in, and get ready to meet the faces behind the roles as we dive deep into the heart of our company. It's time to discover the stories that inspire us, the ideas that drive us in the incredible journey that is DearDoc. Welcome to the People of DearDoc, an DearDoc Podcast. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the People of DearDoc. I'm sure you guys know who's right next to me right now. Someone with the best last name that I might have heard in my life ever.
Not too shabby. Rogers to Rogers, baby.
Rogers to Rogers. Dave, how we doing?
Doing all right, my friend. How you doing?
Very well, very well. And maybe for the people who don't know too much about you, do you want to give us a little brief introduction of yourself, who you are, where you're from?
Yeah. So I'm Dave Rogers. I'm currently the Chief Customer Officer at DearDoc. I can see, you got the beautiful Manhattan skyline behind you. I've got this right here, but I'm based out of Utah. So I'm just about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake. And we, over the course, I've been at DearDoc. My year mark, I think, is going to be in September 15th-ish. So it's coming up on being 1 year at DearDoc. It's been an exciting year. We've got a few people out here in Utah as well. And we got a lot of remote employees. So for me, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm based out of Utah, and I've been working in SaaS and technology companies since about 2006. So it's crazy to think I've been doing this for 17 years or something. So, it's been a fun journey. But I mean, just quick background. I was actually an English major coming out of college, and I tell people I felt like I was completely unprepared to go out there and actually earn a living. Right? I studied. And, studied English, wrote a whole bunch of stuff. And then I remember sitting in graduation, looking around at like 10,000 other humanity majors thinking, there's not enough jobs for us, man. What are we actually qualified to do? And so I had done summer sales, like door-to-door stuff before, and, kind of dipped my toe in the water. And I actually got a job working as an editor right out of college. I was living in LA with my sister for a while. And then I got engaged. I'm like, hell, I got to make more money, man. What should I do? And I had a cousin that was working at just a startup software company. They built real estate websites and did marketing, like, paid ads and stuff for real estate agents to generate leads. And he's like, hey, if you need to make a little bit of money, just come in here and work part-time. I'm like, all right, cool. I've done sales before. I'm comfortable talking to people. Let's do it. So I kind of started as a cold calling SDR. And, I would just pull up a phone book and call real estate agents in Vegas or whatever city or location I was looking at. And I would cold call and dial all day, every day. And but what was funny is I had a lot of success, and I loved it. And the thing that was fun was I'm very competitive. I love crushing numbers, right? It was a small company, about 13 people or so. And so I wanted to break all the records that they had. And then on top of that, it was just problem solving. Working at a small little SaaS company like that, there weren't enough people that filled all the different roles. And so I got, to start running some of their fulfillment stuff and customer support stuff. And I got to work with some, vendors overseas. And we had to run a marketing campaign. We didn't have anybody in marketing. I'm like, hell, I'll figure it out. So I got a MailChimp campaign and got blacklisted like 5 times, and so, but I learned so much in the years I was there at this startup. And what was funny is, like, going through school, this wasn't on my career path at all, but I love working in teams. I love solving problems together. I love winning together. And it's like, it was intoxicating. And the other thing too is, like, that we delivered a lot of value for our customers. And so when I would talk to these real estate agents, I signed up, a year or two before, and just see all the success they had. Like, it was fun to realize, hey, not only am I being successful, making money and, and providing for myself, but I'm adding real value for these guys. And so that's kind of where I got into this. And then one thing led to another, where I was able to move from different companies and kind of expand my role. But really starting at a scrappy little startup was a great place for me, just because I got to see kind of the entire business from front to end, and then be able to basically wear a whole bunch of different hats and really, just kind of develop a whole bunch of skills, because we didn't have anybody that was there that could do half the stuff. And so that's kind of where I got into it. And then, for the last 17 years, I mean, I've been going from company to company and building different programs, everything from sales teams to, customer success teams, fulfillment teams, and everything. So pretty much most teams that are part of the customer journey, from acquiring a new customer to fulfilling, retaining, and doing everything. I've built out all those teams over years, and so I'm really comfortable just in the SaaS environment and love coming in and helping collaborate with my fellow department heads on how do we build something awesome. And more importantly, it's about, hey, if we're doing this right, everybody's winning together, and to me, that's where it becomes really fun.
Awesome. Isn't it crazy how that one decision to go work part-time in that office can completely alter the course of your life?
Honestly, my original plan was I wanted to be a teacher, and so I was going to go back and get my master's degree. And because my dad was a teacher, my grandpa was a teacher, right? And that was kind of like, I love interacting and training and working with people that way. And I found that it still scratched that same itch for me working in teams and departments, because there was a lot of the same elements, so that same camaraderie and teaching and engagement and stuff. I found a lot of the stuff that I enjoyed in the classroom I could find in like a team environment. So it was a win-win for me. But yeah, it wasn't on my career path at all. And so if I was talking to me 20 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, right, that's not what I'm going to be doing in 2023. But here we are.
It's crazy. I feel like that happens to so many of us, but it always works out. It always brings us to the right way we're supposed to be going. How did you actually, get introduced to DearDoc and end up coming over here?
So maybe I'll just kind of run through my couple places. So when I left this startup, I went to a company called Bluehost, and the CEO hired me to run their sales team, and we ended up with about 130 people on that team. And so we revamped the processes and just blew it out of the water. And I ended up taking over the support team there as well. And Bluehost was the largest web hosting company in North America. So my team had about 500 people on it. And then the CEO that hired me at Bluehost ended up being an early investor at a company called Podium, right, which is in the similar space as DearDoc. And so he knew that I was a problem solver, and so he's like, hey, we figured out how to sell our product, but once they become customers, we really don't know what to do with them, and we don't have a program in place. So we want you to come in and build it. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I brought in Spencer Erickson, who's here at DearDoc, and I brought in a couple directors, and then over the couple years there, we built out that entire program and had a lot of success. And then it's just kind of like, this is where your network, and when you build a really good brand for yourself, makes a big difference. So the Bluehost was owned by a parent company that was public called Endurance International Group, and the founder of that started a new company called Aura. And so he reached out to me and said, hey, we bought a couple companies, we've got about 1 million customers, but we don't have a direct to consumer motion at all. And so we get most of our customers that come through partnerships and stuff, but no one can go to our website and sign up for our product. So can you come in and build our direct to consumer team? I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do that. So I brought a couple people with me from Bluehost, a couple guys from Podium, and we spent about 2.5 years building out that direct to consumer program, and that became awesome. And then the long story short, we had a round of investing that we're going to use to really grow aggressively. And due to some concerns about a potential recession, the board decided to basically hold on to that cash. And we, instead of expanding aggressively, they wanted to just extend their cash runway. So I'm like, all right, well, I came in and I built the program, but I'm not interested in just sitting in cruise control. I want to build something. And then actually a recruiter reached out to me, and they said, hey, we've got a company that's about 15 million in revenue, haven't taken any investor money, and they're looking for someone to come in and kind of overhaul their customer success program. And I've done that over and over again. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see what they're about. So I researched DearDoc and, the good, bad, and ugly, just trying to see what they're all about. And I flew out and met with Joe and Danny in New York. And like I said, one thing that I was excited about is I've worked for public companies, I've worked for smaller, scrappy startups. And that sweet spot is really, for me, around when you're at companies around 10 to 15 million is a great time to come in, because what that means is you have an opportunity to really scale and build, but you've also kind of got through that beginning part where you figured out who your customers are, how to sell your product and get it out to the market. And I feel like that's the sweet spot for me. That's what I really enjoy, because then I could come in and take my experience, build a team, and then be able to scale it and expand it. And that's the part I really love to do. If it's a big public company, one of the downsides is it takes so long to get stuff done. Right. I always just say it's like a speedboat versus a cruise liner. it's a cruise liner. It's like, hey, we want to pivot and make some of these changes, and it's like quarter after quarter, you're slowly turning this massive ship. Whereas if you're a little bit smaller, more nimble, like you can just move fast on opportunities and move things. And if you look back, like I've been here for the last year, you can see just all the different things that we were able to get done and get live and roll out. And it's fun to be able to see like your ability to, work with a team and build out something and get it launched quickly. That's fun. I really enjoy that. So yeah. And so it honestly, when I met with met with them in New York, the thing that I liked is it reminded me of kind of the stage that Podium was in when I joined them. When I joined Podium, they were 12 to 15 million in revenue, about the same size. They just barely got their Series A of funding, and so then we could come in and build stuff. But again, meeting with them, I was super impressed that the company got to 15 million in revenue without any investor money, bootstrap. Like honestly, you don't see that very often. Most companies, once they once they get to 5 million, 10 million, there's usually some angel investors. There's usually a Series A. There's something where they're going to use investor money to grow. And the fact that DearDoc was able to grow during the pandemic. So I thought, hey, given my experience, I know kind of the product market, I know the customer, I know this stage of the business. I just thought it was a perfect opportunity for me to come in and use my experience over the last few years to help build something awesome here at DearDoc. So that's why I jumped at the opportunity. And also the other thing too is not to run on too long, but working at this last company I was at, it was just a stuffy organization. It just wasn't fun. It's like I had fun in my department and building stuff out, but it was just kind of it was fun meeting with with the DearDoc team and just realizing like, hey, I miss just the young, enthusiastic, energetic vibe of this stage of the business, and that's where I enjoy being. So that was the other part too, is I wanted to have fun and I wanted to work with people that really want to just kick ass, build something great, but then also really enjoy it at the same time, and people I wanted to work with. So again, all those things kind of aligned, and that's why I'm here at DearDoc.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. Our culture here is something that's no like anything else, and it makes the job, no matter how difficult someday may be, it gets you through these difficult times, and also you have a team behind you that is willing to help you out no matter what. I think it's one of our biggest strengths here. Can you kind of walk us through maybe what a day-to-day for you is like? I know it probably changes a lot, but
yeah. So like as my roles developed over the years, a lot of it has moved from being in the trenches to managing the managers, right? And then kind of like managing directors and managing different teams. And so a lot of it, what it comes down to is, okay, can we build a blueprint of what we feel like? Because let me take a step back. I feel like what my role is like I'm the guy who's the engineer building a machine. So an important thing that I've learned through the years is like when you're in a leadership role, or you never want to be a key cog in the machine, meaning like you don't want all your processes to go through you in order for the machine to run. So what I like, the best teams that I've been able to build is where my job is to assemble all the pieces and then be able to make sure that engine's running and humming as we go, and then calibrate and make sure that we're getting the best performance out of it. And so if I'm talking about what my role is to come in and build a vision of what that engine is supposed to look like, and then quarter over quarter start assembling all the pieces to build the engine that's really driving the machine and growing. And realistically, if I do my job right and I step back or I leave on vacation or do anything else, it doesn't fall apart because I'm not there. And so like that's what I feel like great great leaders do, is they get in the trenches and they empower their teams to make decisions and to get things done instead of having to run everything past you. And so some people are scared of that because they feel like, well, if I empower everybody, then what am I going to do? And that threatens my job, right? And so you'll find a lot of managers or just young leaders try to hoard power to make sure that they're kind of protecting themselves. But honestly, that's the wrong way to build a great culture and great team. If you do it right and you train and set clear expectations with the people on your team, and it doesn't matter if it's a director, a manager, or a frontline agent, then let them go kick ass and do great things, right? And then you become more of kind of like a mentor and coach on how they can get better performance, but they're empowered to make decisions and get things done. So the long story short, like I want to be able to have the blueprint of what we need to do, and then work with my team to start filling in the gaps of how we build the engine and how we get that done. And then my day-to-day a lot is reviewing the numbers, meeting with people on the team, meeting with my leaders, walking through what's working, what's not working, and then calibrate at that point. what are the next logical steps that we need to take that really move the needle for that team or that department. And we may not be able to build out our entire organization in one shot. Okay, but what does phase one look like? And then did we arrive there? What does phase two look like? And did we get to that point? And that's how, like, I feel like that's how you build the engine and make sure that it continues to grow and expand and become optimized over time.
Yeah, absolutely. You're literally are that engineer you're talking about.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the job.
What was that?
I said that's my job. So my job is to oversee the assembly of the engine and then make sure when it's running, it's running at a high velocity at that point.
Yeah, I can go to autopilot. It reminds me of that picture. Ever seen that? It's a picture comparing two things. One of them's like the leader, and one of them's like the dictator almost. And these guys are pushing like the rock, and the dictator's kind of like sitting on top of that rock, having these people pushing the leaders down there with them, pushing the rock. Your leaders in the trenches with the team. So I think that's awesome. If you look back in this past year, we're coming up on a year right now for you here at DearDoc. What is one big, accomplishment you've done, or one big memory you have in the past year that you've been a part of?
So I think initially coming in, and anytime you come in and you take over a new department or a team, you're trying to understand like, hey, who's on the team? What talent do we have? Do we have any gaps? Who can we build around? So one of my first initial impressions is that we had passionate people on the team that work hard and give a damn about our customers and what we're doing. And then at that point, it's kind of like, okay, well, how do we make sure that we can utilize these resources to the best of our ability? So I'd say one of the big wins that so I'll just kind of take one step back because I have a sales background and customer success background and everything. I don't feel like I'm God's gift to any one thing. I feel like I know how all the pieces fit together and we can get things done. So one example is like we didn't really have any post-sale upsells at all when I first got here. None of the teams were upselling. We really weren't selling additional products, and expanding anything. And so basically Q1 in 2023 was the first time we really started focusing on, okay, how do we actually start building out some of these playbooks to start offering additional products to customers and adding additional value and increasing that contract. And the other thing too is happy customers buy more products from you. That's just the reality of it. Yep. And so none of that was really happening. And so we started that in Q1. And so in Q1, we hit, 75,000 in ARR and upsells, and none of that had existed before. And then in Q2, we ended up hitting 100,000 in upsells. And so one thing I was proud about is like, in addition to all the other stuff that we were doing with building out the CS blueprint, was the fact that we could say, hey, let's go out there, let's put a target out there, and let's go find some additional upsell opportunities and get that launched. And so I think when we pushed, and I think Garrett had the final sale that put us over 100,000 in Q2, honestly, that was huge because we had no idea if we were going to be able to hit 100,000. Yeah. Right? It's like, hey, let's put that number out there. Let's see if we can build on what we did in Q1, and let's go hit that number. And that's the other thing too, is like when you win together, that's what makes it fun. Yep. And so like, I'm not here to build a kingdom and say, hey, I did all this stuff, it was great. It was, guys, as a team, do we feel like there's a stretch goal that we can hit? All right, cool. Then let's figure out what we can do to actually make it happen. And then it was incredible to see so many people step up in the team. And it was like they took ownership of it. It wasn't like I'm sitting on top of that rock like you were talking about and whipping the team to get to 100,000. It's like they wanted 100,000, right? Yep. And it was more like, hey, let's talk and advise of how we actually do it. And then here, like I said, they took complete ownership and hit it. So if I'm talking about one thing that I absolutely loved, it was the 11th hour. And you know how it is in sales. It's the, either end of the month, end of the quarter. It was in the 11th hour, and then we barely, eclipsed out 100,000 mark. And it was just awesome to be able to celebrate with the team, and for them to see that they believe in themselves. And when we started in early Q1, there was no way in hell they thought they could ever hit that number, right? Because we had never done anything like that before. And then as we started picking up momentum to see that they actually believed in themselves and like, hell yeah, we can do this. And then they owned it, and then we could celebrate, and it was a win together. And that's like I said, that's what I love doing on a day-to-day basis. This is why I'm here. It's when you hit those type of achievements and you see that the team is proud of themselves because they did it together. Like, I love being part of it. That's intoxicating, and that's why I love what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can imagine what it's like working directly with you. Your energy that you bring into stuff is amazing, even just having conversations with you. So I can definitely see how you bring the whole vibe together. Everyone, we're crushing this, we're doing it. Let's build that belief level up. Let's get stuff done.
I was gonna say, one thing I'll just add to that is like the other thing too is I don't feel like I'm the smartest guy in the room. And so what I love about it is I really don't care where a good idea comes from, right? It doesn't have to come from me. Yeah, I don't care if it's someone who just started a week ago or someone who's been with the company for 3 years. It's like if someone has an idea and if we feel like it's the right thing to do, then hell yeah, let's figure out what we can do to actually test that out and get it out there. And I feel like that's such a healthy mentality to have on your team when you feel like anybody on your team can have a voice and have an opinion and will think through it. And it doesn't matter where the idea came from. It just matters if it's the right idea and the right concept and it's something we can execute on, then hell yeah, let's do it. And like I said, so it's not like all the ideas have to come from me. It's more of a collaborative effort. And if everyone feels like they have a voice or a seat at the table, again, I feel like that's how you win at a team. And that's why you want to work at a company like that.
Yeah.
Because you feel like, yeah, you can put your fingerprints on this and be part of building something instead of just being told what to do all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not how I like to operate, and I don't want to be managed that way. So that's how I like to run these teams, and it's fun to see people like the team itself is coming up with the ideas of how we can actually solve this together. And
Yeah.
I can bring my experience and kind of weigh in on stuff, but they have ownership of it, and that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I just one of my reminds me of my favorite principle in like this personal development space is called the mastermind principle. And it says, when two minds come together, create a third more powerful mind in the process. And it seems like you've fully built and had this camaraderie with your team of having this mastermind principle in play where you guys are able to all work together, bounce ideas of each other. Nobody has this seniority over somebody else. It's like, all right, we're all in this together. Let's all get this done. And how are we
Yep.
going to get there?
It's awesome. There's a book called Multipliers, and it talks all about this, right? And that's really what it comes down to is being able to delegate, being able to empower, being able to, give additional responsibilities to people because that's how they grow individually, and that's how you grow a great organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So kind of heading into like the next segment of the podcast, I want to get into some stuff outside of work and
Sure.
learn more about what does Dave do outside of building an awesome team and all these cool things for us.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a family man, so I'm married. I've got two boys, Finn and Boone. They sound like a couple of moonshiners from the Appalachians. But I've got an 11-year-old, he turns 12 next month in September, and I've got an 8-year-old, so they just barely started school. And honestly, I love being a dad. So, I mean, I love work. I mean, you want to work with great people because you end up spending more time during your day with your team members and people at work than you do your own family. So you sure as hell better like who you're working with and what you're doing. But when I'm off the clock and I'm not working, honestly, I'm spending time with my family. I absolutely love being with my kids. We just did a father and sons camp out, 2 weeks ago, got up in the mountains, away from technology and video games and everything, and just hiking, exploring, fishing, climbing, doing all sorts of stuff. Like I love that stuff. And you can see behind me, hobby and passion. Uh, yeah, I've always loved music, and I'm not God's gift to like playing guitars or anything, but I collect Gibson Les Pauls, and so I buy and sell them, do them on the side. I usually have about 15 or so at my house, and there's
Wow.
like there's 4 or 5 that are like my golden childs that I absolutely love, and then the other ones I kind of play them, and then I call myself a catch and release collector. So I love the thrill of the hunt of finding, a Les Paul, like a rare signature model or something like that, find it for a good deal. I buy it, I play it for a while. And then eventually when I find another one, I'll sell some other guitars, right? Sell them back into the wild and
Yeah,
use that
yeah.
to buy other guitars. And I just kind of cycle through, and it's been a hobby and a passion. So I love doing that. I'm also I'm a church guy. I go to church on Sunday. I'm a religious guy, and so I love giving back to my community and being able to serve other people and making sure that we're all looking out for each other and trying to build up your family first and then build up the people around you in your community. And you do that with enough people, you build incredible places to live in great communities. So I love giving back that way.
Awesome. So if anyone's looking to get into selling guitars or looking for a Gibson, you're the person to call.
Hey, if you want to talk shop anytime, you just come on by my way. And you want to talk guitars, you want to talk music, classic rock, whatever it may be, then hell yeah, hit me up. You'll
Are
have
any of those behind you like the prized possession ones, or
what was that?
are those like your golden ones, like the ones that you're?
Yeah, I mean, there's a definitely some up there. I've got a whole wall of cases over here, so I usually cycle them in, cycle them out, and but yeah, I mean, the ones that are up there right now are some great ones. Like, hold on one second. Oh, so this is one I just got last week. So this is a '59 replica Les Paul, It's a dark burst, absolutely gorgeous. So if anyone's into this type of stuff, hit me up. I'd love to talk about it.
Nice. That's awesome. For the last segment of the podcast, it's gonna be like rapid fire
Sure.
questions, and it's designed to be like just more fun and it's like a little abstract. So the first one I'm gonna ask you is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. So me and my kids talk about this all the time because we watch Marvel and Star Wars and all sorts of stuff. But I mean, I would say Spider-Man. If I could pick one person I could be, I mean, he has so many awesome abilities aside from just shooting weird stuff out of your body, right? But the spidey senses and being able to like recover quickly and be super fast and all other stuff. If I could pick one superpower, or do you see one superhero I could take their abilities, it would definitely be Spider-Man.
Awesome, awesome. For the next one, would you rather be able to speak and understand every single language in the world, or be able to speak to every single animal and understand what they're saying?
I'll go with languages.
Language is probably more useful, right?
Animals would be cool, but dude, if I knew every language and could communicate with all 8 billion people of the human race, that'd be pretty powerful. I would love that.
That would be cool. That
I
would be
love animals though. I've got a dog. I love Milo, but honestly, I don't know what he's saying at me all day. He's probably not very nice. He's
cool.
probably just ragging on me all day. So yeah, I'll go with the human. I'll go with the human race.
Cool. If you were to be a gold medalist in any Olympic event, whether it's winter or summer, what event would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. Any Olympic event? All right. Well, if it was just to be the fastest man in the world, right? Like Usain Bolt or something like that, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I'd probably go with that. If there's something about just saying you're the fastest human on the planet, that would be pretty
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And the last one is, you're gonna open up a restaurant. What kind of restaurant would it be, and what would the inside be like?
Ooh, what kind of restaurant would it be? Mm, I'm a burgers and fries guy. So I think if I was to do it, I think I'd do like an old 50s diner with
Yep.
some really cool greasy burgers and fries and just do it right. Really thick shakes, right, with big chunks in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it'd be pretty fun playing some like old school like 50s and 60s type rock and have just like I said, a fun diner like that. The other thing too is if I open a restaurant, I want to make sure that there is a stage where you'd have like live bands coming in and playing, right? So
That'd
if
be
you had
cool.
live bands, kind of old school, like maybe even it ends up being like a 70s type burger and fries type place, because so many of my favorite classic rock bands are from the 70s, right? It'd be fun to
Yeah,
do like a themed restaurant like that. I'd love it. So if you could combine music and old school, just kind of burger and fries, I think that'd be awesome.
sweet. And the last one is, what is your favorite song?
What was my favorite song?
Yeah, favorite song.
Oh, yeah. So uh if so my favorite band when I was a young teenager was Guns N' Roses,
Nice.
and one of my favorite guitarists is Slash, and my favorite song that they play that I always just listen on repeat was a song called Estranged. It's not the most popular Guns N' Roses song, but it's like an 8-minute song, but Slash has like 3 incredible solos in it, and I love the lyrics, I love the melodies in it, and it's just my favorite song of all time.
Cool. I'll have to give it a listen after. Dave, thanks for coming on. Before we go our separate ways, is there any piece of advice you'd like to give to somebody maybe who's starting off with the company now or looking to get into the company, or maybe they've been here for a few years, and just give them advice to, kind of move forward and move throughout their life and put them on the right path?
Yeah, the one thing I like to tell people is there's a difference between a job and a career. And if you come every day treating this as if it's a job and you're just looking for like the next place to go and you're not fully invested, then guess what? Your next job isn't going to be that great. Right. But if you come in, it doesn't matter if you're coming in as a C level or a frontline employee. If you come in realizing like the people that you work with every day is the network that that creates opportunities for your next opportunity.
Mhm.
And if you come in every day building a great brand, that's actually what opens up more doors for you. Because I gave an example of how I was moving from company to company, and it
Yep.
was people that I worked with who knew I came in and I could solve problems. They knew what like how what I was like culturally and how I was able to solve problems, get things done. They're the
Mhm.
ones that created additional opportunities for me, right? Because I took advantage of it. If I would have gone into that first startup company thinking, hey, this is a lousy company, there's 13 people, like there's nothing here for me, and I was just coasting, honestly, the rest of my career never would have happened. And so like the people who reach out to you are the people, like it could be someone, if you're an SDR, it could be another SDR sitting right there next to you that ends up at another company down the road and says, hey, we're looking for someone who's got this type of skill set. I used to work with this guy that was absolutely incredible. You've been perfect for this role. And they
Yep.
reach out to you and create that opportunity for you to come in and step into whatever your next role might be down the road.
Yeah.
So like build your brand today, realize that this is you're starting your career today, and the people that you work with in the trenches is your network that creates additional opportunities for you. The last one I would say on top of that is when you're working at a company, like a lot of times people think they got to go talk to other people at other companies to see like, hey, maybe I want to go into marketing or I want to go into product or something like that. The thing I always tell people is take advantage of the people who work here now. If
Yep.
you want to know about finance or accounting, you want to know about, like I said, product or marketing or anything else, like be proactive and reach out to the people doing the job that you might be interested in and talk to them, get to know them, talk about like what advice that they have, what did they study, what did they learn, like how did they get into that role, what does the day-to-day look like. It may not even be a job you end up wanting to do down the road, right? And so that's what I'd say is, as part of that career, leverage the network and the people that already work at the company that you're in and get to
Yep.
know them. If they're doing a job that you're interested in, take them out to lunch and go talk to them and be like, hey, tell me a little bit about how you got into this role, and if I wanted to do that, what some advice you'd give me. So
Yeah.
take advantage of the people around you.
Love it. So focus on your career. This is your career now. Don't
Yeah,
look at it as like a job, and then use the network you have near you. The
build a
foundation.
great brand. Yeah, build a great brand for yourself, and that will create additional opportunities in the company that you're in where you can get promoted or moved into other roles, or down the road when your network expands out, they may be at a company where they need your skill set, and because you're a badass and you built a great brand for yourself, they'll reach out to you and say, hey, we have an opportunity for you. So realize that your career starts today. It's not your next job.
Love it. Love it. It's great advice. This is an awesome podcast. Dave, thanks for coming on,
Oh, for
talking,
sure, man.
sharing some cool stuff and your background. I know we're going to hear more from you in the future, some TGIFs and whatnot. So thank you again.
Yeah, Rogers to Rogers, baby. Happy to
Rogers
do
to
it.
Rogers.